versus Eclipse. I'm Fralgatron, and I'm joined here with Toscarez.
Yeah, just call me Brandon for this time period. I don't know how to pronounce my name, so good luck.
I'm thinking this is going to be a very good game today. What do you think?
Yeah, we played Eclipse as I'm on Zenith. We played Eclipse in week one. They came out fairly strong. They have some really competent synergy, and they have some really good players with some good mechanics. What do you think about Castillo?
Castillo, I have high hopes for them. A lot of these players, they've played together a lot in prior leagues and in a lot of games together. The synergy is going to be like incredibly well done, is what I'm predicting from Castillo. Um, Eclipse, I haven't seen much of them, so I'm excited to see what they can do. I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be a very close game, though.
Yeah, one thing I'll say that you want to look out for on the side of Eclipse is that their tank line can make some really massive plays, and they're capable of doing it. Coming from Tina's bombs as Diva, a lot of them are absolutely massive. When we played them, she got a 4K, I believe, and yeah, it can really be a game changer and even a match changer if enough of them can get put out.
All right. Well, both teams are ready to get started, so I'd say let's throw into our first map, Volskaya Industries.
Yeah, now what do you think about Volskaya? What do you think like some kind of comps that we're gonna be seeing here?
Volskaya Industries is I'm probably in the minority in saying that this is probably one of my personal favorite maps to play on because there's a lot of different things that you can run. Like you see in a lot of the Genji and a lot of the Widow being played on this map.
Mhm.
You can see Hanzo Bastion strats, even Orisa Rein strats have been played on this map. So honestly, I don't know if knowing Castillo and knowing their tank line with Gubbins in, we're definitely gonna see the Roadhogs. So we might end up seeing the hook combo come out.
Yeah.
But also knowing T-Nax, like you said, his diva is. I have seen T-Nax before, and I know how dangerous his diva can be. So, I'm I'm heavily expecting to see the diva come out, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what we're gonna see. We're gonna see Gubbins on the Roadhog and T-Nax on the diva. Looks like Fluid is gonna act. Or
Fluid.
my colored
Fluid.
lines messed me up. Okay, so we're gonna see Eclipse on with a Mercy Lucio, with a Soldier Genji, and a Winston Diva. So a little bit of a dive strat, which I don't know. You would say that that's fairly effective on this map, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, dive can be used to take high ground. High ground being a massive component of this map, both for offense and defense. I'll say that multiple times. One of the things I find really interesting is that there's a soldier on the attack as well as this dive. So I want to see if the dive itself can create enough space for the soldier to be able to do some work. We see this attack starting to get pushed by Diva jumping in the front window, doing a bit of poke damage. Genji dashing in onto the Widow. However, he is not able to secure a kill, and now he's backed up in the corner behind the enemy team. We're gonna start to see a Winston and a Diva both dive on the top center, and the defending team having to rotate. They are rotating down. And we also see a Genji continue to dive, continuing to pressure at backline as Eclipse's tanks are trying to put some headway into this fight. As we see Soldier needing to put some pressure. However, Widow is popping off with a 3K already. What great way to start off the match. Gubbins already having ult, letting that go loose, and that is a fight over. What do you think about that so far?
I think that the major part of that fight was the fact that the Reinhardt was giving so much space and not letting the Winston and the Diva dive onto the correct targets. Like there was so much protection for those supports that the healing was just able to get out, and then with so much being put in to try and take out the supports, the Widows was just able to sit relatively uncontested. Like as you just see, she just used her ult.
Yep, and looks like at the pick on the Warrior. not they can't push without their Lucio for a time being, so they'd probably start doing some poke damage. However, they don't need too many more ults as the ult spread so far is relatively even. However, they decide to invest the Valk right now, and both teams investing their Valks. Genji Blade coming out. However, Gubbins is able to pick up the soldier, and Genji Blade still getting a kill on Warrior. Warrior falling yet again, and Genji actually getting some kills for once in his life.
And once again, the major part of that fight was the tanks were just giving so much space that the DPS was able to just come in and do cleanup duty. And this is what I was thinking that Castillo was going to bring, is they've had so much synergy that the DPS knows that the tanks are going to just make wide open areas for the DPS just to get in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to invest a Baptiste on defense. Meanwhile, the attacking team can just walk away from that. But they decide not to do that, and it pays off as they pick off not only the Widow, who is pressuring them for so long, but the Reinhardt. Soldier invests ult that I personally don't think that was needed, but if they need to take the point, then they need to take the point. Mercy using his ult again, and now the rest of Castillo are just forced down in a box. You can't really get out of that right now, and we're going to be seeing soon a bit of point cleanup. There's only a minute left to attack, so it's a pretty good hold so far, but wait a minute, it's not over yet. Genji Blade getting one. Mercy being forced on and dead. We're going to see a bomb come out. However, that is a bit of a hold. This is really back and forth as both picks are coming out. Sam getting a double with Tina also following through with 2 as well. And we're going to be seeing a control from Eclipse and being able to take the point. What do you think about that? Why was that so back and forth? It looked solid like originally, but what do you think?
I feel like the back and forth was primarily coming from the fact that it looked like Eclipse was struggling to find precise targets in that fight, that Castillo was able to start coming in, but once Eclipse was finally targeting specific people, taking out the main tanks, and then finally taking out the supports and DPS, it basically fell to the fact that Castillo just had no way to take care of it, because now the DPS didn't have a way to have any openings to get in.
Yeah, and right now Eclipse is just being cleaned up after a few early picks. One thing I will say is that they did invest the Mercy Valk into that. Maybe, I don't want to call BM this early, but Valking just to shoot a pistol, I wouldn't say that's a very good strat.
When you use
However,
the Valk and you
working.
didn't need to, there's only one thing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, the only good part about Mercy is her pistol, let's be real here. However, Ryan gets a triple shatter. Let's see if they can follow up on any of it. No direct follow-up right now. However, Cupcake does go down. Being able to follow up pick with Warrior and Widow 1v1, that ends pretty quickly. However, Genji does go in with his blade, happen to take out Ryan with Mercy falling through. And right now, it's going to be a pretty decisive fight victory on the side of Castillo. Looks like Eclipse really isn't making any headway coming from Hog originally. Hog being able to get too many picks with his hook. And that's point number 1. You have to dodge that Hog hook before anything happens. Because Gubbins is very competent Hog. I don't really think he can play too much else, but what he does play, he plays well.
No, the Gubbins doesn't play anything more than the Hog and the Hammond, really. You'll sometimes see him pull out a Rhine or a Zarya, but he's a one-trick true and true.
Yeah, I'd say he can play a Hammond, but I don't think what he does classifies as playing, to be honest. I can give a 6-year-old a controller, and he could probably do a bit better of a job than that.
Okay,
but
let me tell you something.
Know?
One time I was playing with him, and he gave his younger brother the controller, and I couldn't really tell a difference.
Yeah, I'm not very surprised. Anyways, Diobomb comes out, does take out the Immortality field, the cooldown being pretty high. Lots of ults come out, a Shatter taking down 4 most importantly, Beat Drop saving them. Sam goes down due to Gubbins. And right now, their Rhine is being boxed into the corner. However, Eclipse does get a triple shatter, not being able to follow up enough as they can. Getting both healers, but that's not going to do much when your entire team's just decimated. Do you think that shatter was invested well, or is it just not, and is not follow up, or was that just a bad shatter overall?
I feel like that shadow was kind of used more in a panic sense. You've got four people coming at you, you've got your ultimate, try to escape if you can, but with how little health that he had, I feel like the shadow was just wasted.
Well, we're gonna start to see the Widow over on Eclipse gets a pick on the Genji, and now the Baptiste before Mercy has to pull out the big guns. And Genji Blade comes out. Looks like that's looking like something that could do some damage. It does do damage, as this is like a full team kill right now. I think they used a few more ults than they needed to, most primarily Baptiste ult, as that was towards the end of the fight. And one thing I'm looking at from Castillo is that their ult usage really isn't that great. Let's see if Eclipse can capitalize on that, as there are no ults besides a Mercy ult on the side of Castillo. We're going to see as the timer ticks down, stuns come out, an Immortality Field placed early. We're going to be able to find out if that will do anything. It doesn't. And a Rhine Shatter comes out, takes down more than one. Rhine falls as a Diva Bomb picks up none. However, no, they're letting the Mercy res. Mercy getting a res on the Rhine. Let's see if that's able to do anything. We see a full-out brawl come out from starting from Cupcake demeching Tina and soon falling. However, it looks like currently Castillo's being able to sustain pretty well. A beat coming out in response to that Genji Blade, and ult already over on the side of Zarya. Zarya is making some headway for her team, and Brig is there to solidify that. Shatter comes out, takes out their Rhine. However, Rhine is not able to follow up on that Shatter. Currently, Eclipse has some pretty tight headway into this fight. Then a Pharmacy is brought over on the side of Castillo to see if anything can change from that. More ult coming out, targeting the Pharmacy, and Mercy dies to an orb. That leaves Castillo pretty defenseless, and right now, looks like the team's getting wiped. But however, there's still a Hammond and a Genji both on the point, and they're just trying to stall for as long as they can. Mercy able to come out, but I don't think it's gonna touch. No, it doesn't, and that's the end of round one. Why do you think that push was so successful? They had like 4 minutes to do it, and they finally was able to slap something together now.
I feel like the push, the major winning factor of that push was that switch onto the Zarya. Because now what you have with those bubbles is you have some of that damage cancellation. So now, even though there's a lot of holes being made by the tanks, the DPS isn't really able to capitalize off of that because there's no damage actually being done. Instead, you're just overcharging the Zarya, and now, with her being able to out-damage, basically everybody on Castillo, there's really not much that they can do other than try to stall the point.
Yeah, no, that Zarya was able to cancel a lot of hooks, a lot of hook potential, because you either don't shoot and let your hook target go away, or just give the Zarya an extra 20 to 40 charge, right? Now we're gonna be seeing side swap. As we look at Eclipse, we see a Mei and a Hanzo. And little do they know, Castillo's running a Pharmacy. How do you think this is gonna bode?
Freaking Pharmacy, those early season strats. Although the Pharah seemed to be starting to be able to do a little bit more going into that last fight, but as we saw, the Pharah still died fairly quickly. So, I don't know if the Pharah is really going to do too much to help Castillo, but stranger things have happened.
I mean, personally, I think the Pharah is gonna do some work, because the only direct hit K. I mean, Pharah at least got rezzed. That's a good one. Ryan deciding to take matters into his own hands and charge straight into the enemy team. Uh, Swooper being able to pick up Sam, and A7 falling just as fast. We're gonna see Gubbins fall. However, that's not the worst thing they could lose, as Gubbins is basically a bot. We're gonna see May try to stall on a point, and Mercy being targeted due to that. Right now, over on the side of Eclipse,
Mafara seems to actually be putting in a little bit of the work, though, right now.
oh yeah, like, just my predictions, no big. But right now is just how long can Eclipse stall this out. I really don't see them winning this. Ults coming out mostly from Castillo, and right now it's basically a fight to build your own ult if you're on Eclipse, because we look on the side of Castillo and they already have a good amount of ults, and they're going to be coming into a snowball soon. However, speaking of snowballs, we do see a May have an ult of her own, and Warrior being able to follow up with a application matrix. What do you think about this next fight? How do you think it's going to go?
Looking right now at the ult economy, I feel like Eclipse may have a slight advantage with the ability to stop all movement of Castillo. Also, they now have 4 ults online, with Castillo already investing in the Valve.
Well, personally, I think that, well, it doesn't matter what I think, because right now Castillo's getting a bit of cleanup in right now. Oh, Gubbins charging the Zarya off the cliff, saving himself, probably accidentally, but what can you do about that? As we look at Castillo being able to take this pretty soon, we might see an early cap here. Hammond gets on the point and starting to do something. Gubbins charging off, being a bot. Who could have guessed? And we're gonna start to see a bit of a stall on the side of Eclipse. How long can they do it for? Not very long, as A7 could not get on the point soon enough. And we're gonna see how long was that cap? It wasn't very long, to be honest, and it looks like they have time to
over 5 minutes.
Do some work on the looks like they have time to do some work on point A, right?
Oh, most definitely. I feel like right now the major advantage is definitely in Castillo's favor, because they're Eclipse is gonna have to do a full hold in order to win this map. And with having to hold for 5 minutes, we all know how difficult that can be.
Yeah, I'm like, still, it can be done, but I wouldn't say it's very likely. If I was Castillo, I don't think they're gonna be doing it right now. But if I was Castillo, I'd probably run a Sombra out and see what comp they have, because you have 5 minutes. You have enough time to build ults. You have enough time to build ults twice and whatnot. And you could honestly just look at their comp and find something that completely counters it. If they don't have a hit scan, then you could just go Pharaoh, right? Like something along those lines. However, looking at Eclipse, we're gonna see the Bastion get pulled out. How do you think that's gonna work, considering they have 5 minutes to hold, right?
Well, I've seen this strat run a few times, is you have the Bastion on one end, and then you have the Diva and the Mercy on the other side, and you basically run like a pincer technique right onto the point. Instead of holding at the choke, you hold point. Which it looks like more or less what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so we're gonna start to see a Fire Strike come out, some poke damage. Bastion can't really get in right now. And we're gonna see Swooper is going under the Bastion. He wants to try to get a good angle right now, and being able to pick off that Bastion quickly is going to mean for an easy hold. Swooper gets behind the Bastion, might not take him out, but gets Warrior Wolf Girl, as Bastion has to reposition right now. Bastion then going down due to a Mercy. It feels bad, man. A7 also going down due to the Widow. However, Tina is finding some headway. Not enough though, because the Widow is getting pick after pick. And we're gonna see a quick take right now, as there's 0 people on the point left. Jeez, and that's game 1. What do you think about that one?
It was about what I expected. You see, what they did there was they stayed along the left side and out of the Bastion's sight. So if the Bastion unable to pump in that damage, basically the tanks are going to have to drop immediately. And what that allows Castillo to do is now they can focus the major threat on that comp. Because with the Bastion now with no shield on him, he's a sitting duck.
Yeah. Dude, what is Widow's sensitivity? Like, I don't know if you're watching that or whatnot, but that is high. But anyways, that was only map one. There's still time to turn this around, right? And we've seen 3-1s after the first map's been taken. We've seen reverse sweeps. Um, there's definitely a possibility. What do you think needs to happen for that reverse sweep to go on, or for that 3-1?
I feel like in order for this reverse sweep to occur, uh, if we are looking at a reverse sweep scenario, what's gonna have to happen is they are really gonna have to pump up the healing factor as well as the damage factor in order to break through those tanks and break through the damage that Castillo is bringing forward. They have to be able to out damage the healers on Castillo.
Yeah, well, personally, I think if you're gonna run dive was a pretty good call considering what Castillo can run. But what you need to do with dive is you need to dive the right target. And in this case, I wouldn't say a healer is directly the right target. But what I would say is if you're able to take out that Widow is getting picks on your team left and right. So if you try to, what they did wrong for a lot of time what Eclipse did wrong for the first half of their attacking round is that they're trying to dive on the healers while they're trying, because they couldn't get a headway into the tank lineup. While they're trying to dive on the healers, Widow was just getting pick after pick, and a Genji alone can't do too much against a Widow who's constantly being healed every so often. So we're gonna have to see a more concentrated dive, or just a straight out damage. We're gonna see some switches come in. I'm not really sure who else, but I know Goku is coming in for whoever. Tina is gonna be getting subbed out, right?
Oh, there he is. And then, what were you saying? Sorry.
Uh, so new switches are coming in. Who do you think do you think Goku, for example, is going to be putting in some work? And
I
just
feel
any
like
switch in general.
I know that Shino brings in a really good diva and soldier capability into this, but I also know that Star, who I believe it's Star Fazzy Gal.
Yeah.
Um, I've played with her so many times before, and she is an incredible support and tank player. And I feel like that what's this gonna now do is it's gonna be incredibly hard for Castillo to really out heal. As I said, it's going to be incredibly
Okay.
hard for Castillo to really out heal what Eclipse is going to do, because now you've got the support duo with Star and Combat that it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to out damage the supports in that.
Yeah. It's a simple Overwatch rule. If you can damage more than the other supports can heal, you put the damage in the right place, and it's gonna be good.
Welcome to Blizzard World. Initiating match.
All right. We're gonna see some Blizzard World. Wow, and with Blizzard World, as I said in Volsky, we're gonna be able to see a test of who can really utilize the high ground, and who can really whose tank lines can really make space. Enough that I see from the extra swaps put in. Some tank lines are going to be changed up. I think Faz is Faz going to be playing tank? Maybe. We're about to see. But Faz's tank definitely competent. Goku's tank like certainly competent. And looks like we're gonna see some different comps coming in. We're gonna start to see a Torbjorn maybe. Is that a thing? Yeah, but it's not really just a meme if you put it in. If you take it out of the dream, right? We're gonna start. What do you think? What do you think? Let me pose you a question. Let me think. What do you think is gonna be like important for this game? What do you think Eclipse needs to be able to win?
I feel like Eclipse, their major thing they're gonna have to do is to target those tanks, especially taking down that Reinhardt very early on. Without the shield, there's gonna be no protection for the supports, and Castillo, they can owe a lot of their victory in that last map to the fact that the supports were doing so much keeping everybody up. So, you take out the Reinhardt, now you have no protection for the supports, and it's just cleanup after that.
Well, we're gonna see who throws worse, who throws better, Griffin on Torbjorn or Gubbins doing anything. However, we're gonna start to see Eclipse push in from the left or right side. Reinhardt being charged and taken out. That's an easy and early pick. You cannot lose your Reinhardt on defense and expect to win a fight so easily without 30 ultimates. However, we're gonna see Castillo try to push back. The tank line is absolutely gone, and in my opinion, this is the retreat. You're gonna have to get back or feed. However, Raftalia does not think that's a viable option. Rezzing Goku and tank almost back. Reinhardt is getting back right now. However, Griffin is down. Reinhardt taking out combat, and Genji getting blade. We're gonna see some ults come out, and as I said earlier, you can't hold that without 30 ults. And what I find really admirable is that Castillo is able to stall out, so they can get their ults, they can get their players, regroup, rearm, and they're back in it. What do you think was so exciting about that fight? Shino getting pick after pick.
Shino definitely did get a lot of picks into that fight, and I feel like that was the start of what allowed that turnover to go, is Shino got those early picks and then popping the trans, and that basically gave enough healing for Castillo to really start making the comeback. Then we see the Genji Blade come in and start the cleanup duty to force Eclipse to retreat.
Yeah, well, Molten Core is going to get put out, and Biovom is going to be thrown really far back in the backline. However, it does get Mercy, A7 following up as well. It looks like it's just going to be traded ultimates, as Eclipse is using a lot of ultimates this fight, but it's alright because they won the point. They still have both support ultimates, by the way, and that's really important to note coming up in the next fight. Shino's close to a trans, and Cupcake does have Shatter, which can turn a fight easily, but support ultimates are very important in this. Shino's probably going to have ult going in the next fight. Brig is the only one in the cart. Anyways, Eclipse is taking out pick after pick. They're staggering Castillo pretty far. Reaper, on the other hand, is behind and winning the challenge of Brig. That's gonna be has to be a tall order, considering that the entirety of Eclipse is back in it. What do you think is gonna happen in this next fight?
Well, now that Castillo is down one player, you've got Griffin coming back now from the spawn room. They're going to have to try and hold at least for Griffin to get back. Because if they keep losing people, this fight is just going to be swept through, and that's exactly what it looks like we're seeing.
Yep, Griffin gets back, but he gets back too late, as she's basically the only person on the point. Mercy tries to get on, but decides that giving the other team ult charge is the most important course of action. And it looks like the point is taken for Eclipse. 4 minutes to take part C of this map. Very admirable. If I was Eclipse, I would be very satisfied myself, but it's not over yet. That's what you have to remember going into this. However, Eclipse is just rolling onto Castillo, and they can't regroup. People are gonna have to try to stay back and spawn. That Diva Bomb's gonna come out. Trance being used just so Zen doesn't die from that. And we're gonna start to see maybe an extra push onto this. We're gonna see Death Blossom, Dragon Blade, all the alts come out just to hold, just to get out of your spawn. That's a bit rough if you ask me, because now the alt economy has basically swung in the other team's favor. What do you think's gonna go on about this?
Well, what Eclipse is going to have to do is they're going to have to regroup now. They've already lost the fight, they've invested so many ults, and they need to change something up. Maybe not necessarily change up characters, but they need to change up their approach. Because, I mean, yes, they have forced out a lot of ults from Castillo, but the issue is they know that in this type of composition and how heavy Goats likes to run very up in your face, it also gives a lot of ults to the enemy team.
Yeah, no, it's important to note because you can't feed on Goats, or else the other team is just gonna have a bunch of ultimates to punish you with. But however, it doesn't look like too much punishing going on, as Castillo again is being ripped apart because they can't counter Goats. Fun. No, just kidding. But however, we do see some alts come in from Castillo. Basically every ult but Griffin, but let's be real here, Griffin's ult's basically a throw. We're gonna see Faz decide to use her bomb, getting Genji, but that doesn't amount to the team kill that just occurred. And there's 1 minute and 45 seconds left on the clock. Do you think Castillo can turn this around, or is Eclipse just gonna run into them again?
I feel like Castillo's best situation right now is just to run in, and as we see, the Reaper is gonna try and get in his ult, and then drop down right on top of them.
Yeah, no, there's we're also gonna see a grab out coming on the side of Eclipse. And looks like Castillo is just being massacred in this team fight. They really can't lose too convincingly as is just happening, because they'll get their point capped. And with some time to spare, I believe, looks like Eclipse is able to cap point using questionable moral ethics, but still nonetheless. And right now, Eclipse is in a pretty good spot. They turned their first map loss around, and they decided to learn from it. Meanwhile, Castillo is kind of dropping the ball, as they always did last season.
And what a massive ball they have dropped, though. But anyway, the way I see this, though, Castillo, what they have to do is they really need to try and target these supports. If they're gonna go against Goats, then the biggest thing with Goats is you have to take out the supports. Cut off the healing supply, the tanks aren't really going to do too much. Goats isn't known for its self-sustainability.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you cut off healers, and the rest of the team's going to fall. However, what I will say is that there are 3 healers, and we're gonna need to see some precise dive. They're going to be running with a pharmacy sort of dive. Goku, who was playing tank earlier, is swapping over to the Pharah to get hopefully get something done. However, as we see in Castillo's recent history, that hasn't happened so far, except for map 1. Do you think the Ana or Diva is enough to kill that pharmacy?
I do believe it is going to be enough, because even if the Diva can't finish off the Pharah, or the Mercy, the Ana has that ability to snipe from a distance, and it's going to be one of the most deciding factors, is canceling out this Pharah Mercy, and then allowing just the rest of your team to push in.
Yeah, it looks like Fair, however, is putting in some damage. Griffin diving onto in the middle of the Goats pack. However, it tends to be working as Eclipse is very split right now and getting picked apart meticulously. There's not a whole lot you can do if you're on Eclipse now because you don't have very many players. You just have to back up.
And this is what one of the major uses of Winston can be, is just his ability to jump right in the middle of teams. He can really spread them out, and in GOATs where they stay together, a Winston jumping right in the middle of you is going to be a huge concern.
Yeah, it goes both ways. It can be a huge concern because that Winston can split apart everyone on that team, and if that happens, as just did, Castillo can just rip apart the Eclipse. However, if that Winston jumps in and if something happens, and if Eclipse decides to focus him like immensely, then that could just be an easy feed. However, we are gonna see Widow being switched to possibly put an end to this pharmacy. There are a lot of ults on each side, but there are more ults on I can't think Castillo's side, as currently Castillo is being slaughtered. Who could have guessed? Except everyone. Anyways, we're gonna start to see 4 ults come out for each team, and we're gonna see what these teams can do with them.
This
However,
fight is definitely going to be decided based on how either team uses those ults.
oh yeah, we're gonna see multiple ults come out right now. Most important being a Genji Blade, and that picks up 2. I wouldn't charge into the enemy team if I were Ryan during a losing fight, but you have to get back and you have to do it fast, because if not, then Castillo's gonna roll onto Eclipse like Eclipse roll on Castillo first round.
And I feel like in that fight, especially, the Genji Blade was probably one of the most important things that occurred there. Because what happened is the Genji got a pick and then used his blade to secure a second one before the Diva Bomb even went off. And since Eclipse's bomb didn't catch anybody, the blade was still able to get value even though the Genji had to retreat.
And a triple bomb from Cupcake. Wow, I didn't know that you can press triangle so well. Anyways, that triangle got you the point, and as we saw last round, a bit of deja vu. Also 4 minutes to capture the last point. We're gonna see if there is gonna be enough firepower to take out that pharmacy, take out the Diva, and especially focus on that Winston before they get too close. We're gonna look at a Shatter coming out, picking apart 3. However, there really isn't any direct follow-up. Eclipse takes it upon themselves to use 3 of their 4 ults in a fight they already won, but who knew? Alright, never mind, 4 ults on a winning fight. And really, they just need to get back.
It really might not be the best thing to be using those ults though in this fight, because now you've already got the fight won, you've already had Castillo retreating. Why do you keep investing resources that you could use in the next fight?
Yeah, we see McCree start to flank, but before he does anything there, Genji's gonna blade after Mercy Valks. And right now, Genji might be doing some work. We're gonna see DPS make some headway on the Castillo side, and Faz being able to take out the McCree, not for long, as he's gonna get res back into the fight again. Now, what do you think Eclipse needs to work on? They're pushed to the very brink of this match right now. Do they need to swap characters or just focus different targets?
I feel like a character swap might be needed right now, but also the targeting, because you got the Reinhardt that's just able to defend his entire team and swing that hammer away, making so much room for the DPS to get in, and then with the healing from Castillo's side, that Reinhardt doesn't fall easily.
Yeah, we are going to see Goku take out 2 though. And what looked like a pretty easy fight win turned into something that is a lost fight, as we're going to see Combat try to take control of the point for half a second. That's not going to work. Goku getting a triple, popping off, and right now we're just going to see Eclipse fight for their lives. A High Noon coming out that is able to get a Genji. However, the only other stalling character right now is Winston, but Shino is doing something. However, he can do more than just walk around as Lucio. I didn't know that. I don't know if you guys did either. Right now we're going to see both sides capture with less than 2 minutes left. However, there is an extra push allotted for Castillo. How do you think they're going to utilize their time? Because Castillo has 45, generally 45 seconds more than Eclipse. And how do you think they're going to utilize that time? Do you think they're going to utilize it?
Well, when it comes to the time banks are so close to each other that it's going to be close either way. Castillo is not only going to have to put on an amazing offense, they're also going to have to defend incredibly well, because 1 minute goes by so fast in this game that it's really going to be determined based on what the supports are able to do. If one team's able to out-heal the other, the game's already decided.
We're going to look at some comps right now. And the bunker comp that Castillo is pushing right now is going to be a direct counter to the Winston style goats that Eclipse is going to be running. However, counters aren't everything, as you could try to find ways around it. And we're going to try to find out if Eclipse is going to be able to search for a way. However, the initial surprise of the Bastion might catch them off guard. Having a quick push might be optimal for this, as we're gonna see Castillo set up in the back line. Not enough room to dive, but there might be some space that can be created from this Winston. Immortality field already being used, meaning the Bastion is clear and diveable. Anyways, we're gonna still see a Bastion get a kill on the Zarya and take out the immortality field, as this right now looks like Eclipse is going downhill real fast. They need to get out of there, so they might have a chance of regrouping again. We don't know what's going to happen though. They need to get out fast. It's not going to happen. And right as it stands right now, D.Va is being staggered, and it might not be a full fight onto the next point. We're going to see Joker getting a double as McCree, and D.Va coming out not doing everything in the world. The High Noon will do something though. And right as it stands, it looks like Castillo is pulling ahead of this. What was so special about Castillo's defense that they just didn't do last time?
I feel like what the major deciding factor of that was that early immortality field when that Winston dove onto the high ground. What that allowed, like you said earlier, what it allowed it to do was the Bastion was just, it had free reign to not have to worry about dying, and he was just able to make the targets that he needed to do. And since now Castillo has the upper hand in the damage area, Eclipse just really didn't have much they could do.
Yeah, and right now we are going to see a Torb comp get put out. That being said, personally I'd rather switch to a Bastion, considering last time they just tore apart your team with a pharmacy, but I'm not going to doubt them yet. Not going to doubt them yet. They ran pharmacy for the entirety of the first round, and I feel like they're going to do it again. What I will say though is that I hope Eclipse is coming with a plan, because this win isn't going to be easy if you're going to even win at all. And you're going to need something to win, whether it be a pick, whether it be a strategy. Eclipse is going to be needing something right now, and we're going to see if that comes in this defense. 158, enough time to build ults. What do you think's gonna happen here?
I feel like that if anything happens, it's definitely gonna be the Pharah getting one of the first ults, especially if she can place that rocket very well. Um, but the major thing that's gonna happen is this Orisa is going to be a major wall for Castillo to break through with her with Orisa's ability to throw that shield anywhere. It really is a high defense tank.
Mm-hmm. And Torb starts down. That's like all the hit scan they have. Torb himself is down. And we're going to be looking at a possibly stalling situation. However, Griffin is demeched. And right now, it looks like Eclipse is holding themselves pretty well. Momo getting a triple. However, Castillo is pulling back. Not enough for Momo to get a quad. Continue to kill the Pharaoh with a mine. Managing to do that somehow. You're gonna see 46 seconds left. As you said, Pharaoh does have ult. However, Junkrat does too. And getting 1 or 2 picks is going to mean everything. We're gonna see ults start to be built. And right now, it looks like both teams are close to basically every ult. We're going to see a Shatter get put out. Massive. Takes out the Lucio. We're going to see a Tire get 2, as I said. Sam getting a pick onto the far. That's going to be massive. Momo getting another quad. Faz taking out D.Va. And that's another team wipe. You don't have too much more time. You could probably play front and stall them. They don't, this isn't a draw or lose situation. This is a win or lose situation. We're going to see if Raftalia can get the point. That's going to be a 0. And we are going to be seeing Eclipse win the second round. That was a pretty exciting last fight, don't you think? What do you think was special and stood out upon that?
And I feel like that major piece of that was this play right here by Harry Momo. The Rift Tire coming in, but the play also prior to that, him being able to make those 3 picks right as Castillo was starting to make their major advance, it stopped Castillo from really being able to do much getting into that point. And with Eclipse finally being able to stabilize after that, Castillo was... there was little to no hope for Castillo left after that.
Yeah, no, it is really important for Eclipse to win that one, because not only is it an extra point on the board, it's more momentum that got swung and is being swung right now. And so right now we are going to be seeing map 3 get put out. What is map 3? It is, what is it, Ilios?
Hold on. It is indeed Ilios.
Yeah, let's go. We're going to be seeing that come out, and with Ilios comes Hog Orisa, with Ilios comes Pharmacy. Who do you think is going to be able to utilize the general team comps that Ilios entails better?
My bet is they're going to bring back that Castillo especially is going to bring back in Gubbins. His Roadhog is definitely one of the better hogs, I want to say, in this league. And Castillo is going to capitalize off of that when given the opportunities.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing some players come out and some players coming back in. I think, what is it? Is it Tina coming back in? Or are there any more players?
I believe it is Tina that is going to be coming back in, because I don't think, yeah, because Jimmy Dale is on Castillo.
We're gonna see some extra fat bombs. Hopefully, we're gonna see some extra good ults. We're gonna be seeing a bit of better play coming from both teams. Not saying that any of them is bad besides Castillo, but we're gonna be looking at Ilios in its entirety. And one thing that you cannot leave out is the potential to get environmental kills. What do you think on that?
I feel like the potential to get environmental kills is going to be one of the biggest deciding factors coming into this. Where's Star? I'm sorry, I'm trying to switch people around.
That's alright. I'm gonna
Oh,
get a
sorry.
water. I'm gonna get some water right now, just so.
Yeah, but the biggest thing with this is going to be that capability to gain those environmental kills. Um, you've got these wide open areas, especially coming into Well and coming into Lighthouse. These massive areas that Lucio's and Roadhogs just thrive on. And it's going to be probably one of the biggest pieces coming into this map. Is if you've got a good Lucio, use it. If you've got a good Roadhog, use it. If you've got a great Orisa and you're on Well, use it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for Castillo, they don't have a good Roadhog. They sadly have Gubbins, but we're gonna see if that's able to work for the time being. One of the staples of good tank play is the Orisa pull and hog hook combo. Who do you think is gonna be able to utilize that best, and who do you think has the teamwork and the capacity to do that?
If I'm giving my honest opinion, Castillo. I know Griffin can play a really good Orisa, and with Gubbins knowing his Roadhog, it's when it comes down to teamwork and the ability to pull off that combo, I feel like Castillo is going to have the upper hand in that. However, Eclipse is going to have the ability with combat playing on the Mercy most likely, that you're going to get a lot of these sneaky reses that Mercy is able to do, and that could also be a very important factor coming into this.
Yeah, however, there is only one way to see what goes on, and that is to actually start the match. When is that going to be happening?
We are just waiting on Castillo right now. Griffin told me 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute's gone. Ban him.
And Shino, I
Thankfully,
know
no
you're
one
going to
is
be
getting banned.
watching this, so I hate you, Shino, and drop the ban hammer now.
All I see is Fail is banned from the league.
Oh, don't think
If
he
anyone's gonna
hasn't
be
tried to
banned,
do
I'm gonna
that
be first.
before.
Shots fired already. Come on.
We're actually going to see Kiro come in for swoop.
All right, I gotta ask you. So, if you know me, just a bit of a side question while we wait for Castillo to do something. Um, if you know me, massive Glads fan. Who do you think has the Battle of LA that's going on right now?
Oh, who are they playing right now?
The LA Valiant.
Oh, that's what it is. Um, mm, from what I've seen, I'd say the Gladiators has probably the upper hand going into that.
What a wise man. Someone who has sense in this world. Not something you can find easily. Anyways, we are going to be going on Ilios. We've seen some really good Pharah play on the side of Castillo. We've seen some really good Hog play from Gubbins. And we're going to be seeing an overall competent lineup coming from Eclipse. And we're going to be able to determine who can best put their abilities, put their talents to use into this match. Ruins. What do you think of first when it comes to Ruins in terms of team comps?
When it comes to going into Ruins, it's basically decided that you're probably going to be running the Ryan Zarya combo. There is very little area for much environmental kills to go on, that it always ends up becoming an all-out brawl on the point. And Widows and Pharahs are probably some of the best to be played on this map.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to say is that I am surprised that Castillo's not going to go for a pharmacy because of how well it worked last time. Anyways, we are going to be seeing the Widow from Volskaya on Calamity's side. Never mind, not on Mercy. That would have been fun. Anyways, we are going to be seeing some really good play right here. We're going to be seeing some dive come out from both sides. and we're gonna determine who's gonna put it better, Hammond dive or Winston dive. We're gonna see Momo get a pick on a Goku, and that's an early headshot. Nice one to start off the round. As right now, it's just a battle of defense. And what do you have to say on this matter?
Well, honestly, that fight was fairly well decided just by that very early pick, because now Eclipse has point presence, and with Widow being able to just go uncontested completely, she's able to just put in all the work that Eclipse needs to be done.
Well, yeah, Widow is able to get a 3-piece right there, and use Infrasight. Whether that is the best use of it or not, I won't say. But what we can say is that Eclipse is starting out really strong. We're gonna be, however, we're gonna be seeing Faz get taken out by Vil. Early Moira pick, DPS no big, and Hammond's currently disrupting the back line. You're seeing him pull out for a bit. Speaking of disrupting backlines, we're seeing Tracer get a pulse bomb on a Tina. Tina flying up just to avoid accidentally killing a Mercy or something. Anyways, Tina's going to be getting finished off as Tracer then focuses eyes on the combat. Goku winning that Widow 1v1, and now it's going to be a point takeover. How do you think? Because the first fight was so convincing on the Eclipse. Second fight was so convincing onto Calamity. What do you think is going to happen next fight? Trading back and forth here.
Well, looking at just by pure ults, we've got the Castillo with the ability to find out exactly where Eclipse wants to push from, and then we also have the Diva Bomb, that Winston's shield doesn't last too long and is set onto a cooldown, meaning that Diva Bomb basically has free reign. So I feel like this next fight is going to fall closer to the favor of Castillo.
Two Diva Bombs coming out at the same time. We are going to be seeing a pick come from each. However, the tank's exchanging picks. More picks being exchanged as the Tracers get picked on their respective targets. However, that's not going to do anything to change the fact that this is Castillo's point right now. You see Gubbins dive up to kill the Widow, and Griffin able to take out the Tracer. And all you can ask right now, if you're on Eclipse, is to regroup and rearm. We are going to be seeing a triple tank dive right now. Something very interesting going on. Never mind triple tank goats, because I'm not sure, just goats with a Winston, because that's always fun, right?
It's woke.
We're gonna be. Yeah, I always call it dotes, but who am I? Anyways, we're gonna be seeing Momo getting an original pick onto Caro, and Faz then taking out the Widow. This is a pretty convincing win right now. You need to win this fight, and it looks like they are. However, they brought it down. Castillo has brought it down to where it is only one fight left. Do you think that Castillo is going to be able to adapt to what Eclipse is putting out right now?
In order for Castillo to adapt to what Eclipse is doing right now, they're gonna have to switch something up. Because what's happening is the Hammond isn't getting as much use out of the character as it used to. Because Goat is very forward heavy, the Hammond isn't really going to be able to do too much.
Yeah. However, the Hammond did put mines on the point and is currently taking the point right now. You can't really step on. It's literally a minefield. Anyways, the Pharah is being able to do some work, getting a pick on a Tina. Faz picking out Goku as well. And right now, Pharah is just trying to get away from the Winston that's attacking. We're going to see a point swap go over. That's something pretty interesting. You can't lose point that easily. However, they're not only losing point, they might also lose the fight. Sam dying with a very important Lucio ult. 3 ults on the side of Eclipse's side. Justice comes out. It's raining from above. Justice does kill Tina. And right now, it's looking in the favor of Castillo's side. Villain getting a res onto Griffin, but right before getting picked. but that Diva Bomb is sealing the deal for Castillo. What do you think? What stood out to you about that fight right there?
The biggest thing that stood out to me was that Pharah play. What happened is the Pharah was going basically untargeted through the entire fight. Is that there's with Eclipse just taking in all that rocket damage, the rest of Eclipse was able to capitalize off the disruption that Pharah was doing, and the Pharah still being uncontested was able to pump in more and more damage as the fight went on. So that Pharah is probably what changed that into Castillo's favor.
Yeah, and right now, both sides are going to be running a Pharah and a McCree. However, what I've noticed is that Tina is swapping on to the Diva instead of the Roadhog, and maybe that might be a lack of confidence in playing Roadhog, but that doesn't really matter right now. Pharah 1v1 does end in Caro taking out Faz, and Sam is able to get a boop onto Cupcake. Combat trying to get the res, but failing immediately, and Momo getting a pick onto Goku, Momo being taken out as well, and right now this Pharah is running a one-man wrecking crew for the time being. That's only for the time being, as Pharah doesn't really have any support until that Orisa comes back. Orisa being there, something needs to happen on the side of Eclipse in order for the point to turn. We're going to be looking at right now. Both sides are basically there, and again, Eclipse lets Castillo take that, which is very important because no matter how this fight goes, Castillo is getting a charge. Doesn't matter, Caro gets a boop onto A7, and Faz does kill Caro, but Vil gets a res on the Gubbins, who then eventually kills Tina. And right now, as picks are being exchanged, is not enough on the side of Eclipse. Eclipse is going to need to back up. But what I will say is that Eclipse does have the ult advantage. What do you think on this?
Well, going into this next fight, you've got the Orisa now coming onto her ult, and you have 3 ults, and that's including a Mercy Valkyrie. So what this is going to mean is that you've basically got the Pharah's Barrage protected, and you also have a Diva Bomb able to take out anyone that the Pharah is unable to. That I feel like Eclipse is going to have the upper hand going into this fight.
Yep. However, Goku did commit suicide, jump off the map. And we're gonna see Justice getting taken out pretty quickly. Gubbins ulting, but I don't think that was a very good ult, as he is probably like a 3 IQ player. He's not gonna be able to do much, wasting an ult.
The use of Gubbins' ult is, if I got it, I'm gonna use it.
You know, I can't argue with that. You're probably right. However, we're going to see Caro switch off of the Pharah onto the Hanzo in an attempt to deal with Momo. Momo being a pretty important player in Eclipse's lineup right now, as we are going to highlight some important events, such as Sam pushing off Cupcake. As the wrist is gone, there's no shield, you can't push with that. Anyways, the other shield's gone, you might be able to push. McCree using that high noon, losing it in front of the entirety of Eclipse. However, their res is being gotten, and Caro is able to take out Widow. That is a very important aspect in this fight, and we're going to be able to see Castillo take it out. A Diva Bomb is invested in this, and it's already, I would say it's a winning fight, but I'm not completely convinced right now. People aren't dying on the side of Eclipse. Eclipse is getting kills instead. Faz is 1 right now and needs healing desperately. Does get that healing. However, Eclipse is turning this around, as there's enough sustainability to where Eclipse can completely come back and keep this point. All that point charge is rolling, and it's gonna look like that Castillo only has one more attempt at a fight. And we're gonna see what goes on now.
The major deciding factor of that was the fact that the healers on Eclipse were doing so much and putting in so much healing that Castillo really couldn't do the damage that they needed. And it stopped any push that Castillo was trying to do before the pushes even started.
Yeah, that's something that I really important, in this sort of battle between Castillo and Eclipse, especially in that one really long and dragged out fight. Because for a second, it looked like Castillo was gonna win, but if if you stay on that point and if your healers are able to sustain themselves, then it's gonna be a harder fight to win for Castillo, and that proved to be true in this last round. But in this next round, we are going to see Dive get put out on Eclipse. However, there's going to be a Ryan and Hog combination on the side of Castillo. What do you think is going to go on here?
What I see Castillo doing, especially, is they're going to use the Roadhog more of a flanker than they are going to be a forward tank. And what the Reinhardt's going to end up doing is the Reinhardt's going to be the one causing the major distraction, allowing the Roadhog to get into the back lines. So it's going to be Castillo's uses of Roadhog's abilities in order to really pull ahead of this.
Yeah. What's really important is that Ryan was able to charge the Mercy, but didn't completely pin her off the map. And right now we're going to see Castillo not only take the point, but start to stagger a bunch of players. Cupcake getting a triple, including the Depth of Combat, who decided to take his own life instead of giving ult charge directly. What do you think on these ults? Who has the bigger ult advantage, the support and tank or the DPS and tank?
Right now, in my opinion, the support and the tank has the bigger ult ability, because the support is going to be able to make sure the tank stays up, and then that shatter is going to do so much against Eclipse. But as I say that,
yeah, it looks like A7 is gonna start to pop off. However, that popping does not might end soon, as Eclipse doesn't have a whole lot of follow-up to their comp. As I say that, A7 gets rest again, back into the fight, and we're gonna need to see some sort of resistance being put up from Castillo, but I can't see anything. We're gonna Eclipse investing a good amount of ults into this. Anyways, Ryan gonna be pushing in and failing to take the point. Ult charge being given out back to Eclipse. Eclipse taking the point yet again. A7 almost dying, but escaping barely. And what do you think about this point so far? Do you think it's going to change, or is it just going to be Eclipse all the way?
well, with the swap onto the Soldier, now you've got something to really take out that Pharah. But what I'm afraid of is that Castillo is going to start putting in too many resources into taking out the Pharah, which really isn't the major issue. The Pharah is acting more of a distraction than she is as a major damage dealer. Because what's going on is it's actually more of the Winston and the Tracer that are coming in and dealing more of the damage, with the Pharah just pumping in rockets to act as crowd control.
Yeah, and that's really, even if it's just crowd control, really important to put that damage in. If you're just pumping damage into the tank line, you can't push if your team is low. And that's going to be a major factor for Eclipse's current situation. We're going to see Grab come out in response to Coalescence. Pharah getting some damage, but not as much as Momo, putting a pulse bomb into there. Reinhardt charging, however, Lucio does decide to beat in response. There's a possible point take happening on the side of Griffin, but Griffin's not going to do much like he ever does anything. And right now, we're going to see the possibly the last fight come in on the side of Eclipse. If Eclipse wins this, they win the map. We're going to see a Cupcake go down. That is a massive pick. You don't have a main tank, but you don't have an off tank either. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a hard-fought victory. No main healer. Off healer's gone too. Now you have the DPS who are trying to get on the point desperately. That's a bit of a domination assertance over on the side of Pharah, but that's Eclipse's victory.
Now, there is still a possibility, though, that we are going to see a map 5. given from what we've seen, I think he still has the capability to be able to force it into map 5, but they're gonna have to step it up a little bit. They're gonna have to make sure
Yeah.
that they are targeting the major players, and that is being the Tracer and the Winston. Or, I want to say especially Momo. His DPS plays so far have been what has been helping Eclipse pull ahead like this. And what Castillo's gonna have to do is they're going to have to take down Momo very early on without that DPS sustaining the damage going into Castillo. With the tanks are finally gonna be able to start making those holes like they did in that first map.
Yeah. However, I do think, on my opinion, I do think it is definitely a possibility. We looked at how convincing of a win that Volskaya was on the side of Castillo, and we're going to be able to see if they can bring that back. However, the momentum is in Eclipse's favor, and so it's going to be really interesting to see if Castillo can push that back. We're going to be seeing the next map being Gibraltar. And with Gibraltar, might bring some pharmacy, brings a lot of Widow capability, but we're gonna have to see how much tanks can adapt to the certain situations that they're put in, because some parts of Watchpoint are really open, some parts are really narrow and closed up, and so we're gonna find out if these tanks can adapt their way into a better outcome than normal.
Yeah, and very much so. I'm sorry, once again, I was reading the chats. Oh, it's hard to commentating while I'm also looking at chats constantly.
Yeah, well, reading chat is probably one of the worst things that can go through a streamer's mind. I mean, oh, Momo is leaving. We're gonna see, that's leaving. Alright,
Yep.
everyone's leaving the party, so looks like they might have gotten team chat to work. I think they're just gonna, yeah, because A7's out right now, so we're just gonna see. One thing I want to note is that NY is put in for the first time this series. I know he's a very consistent off tank, and that's all I know. I know he plays DPS. We're gonna be able to ascertain what happens in this engagement as A7's out as a main tank.
And this is going to be like very detrimental for very important for Eclipse because if they can win this map, then they're going to win the series. However, Castile, what they have to do is they have to win this map if they want to have any chance of winning this match. Because if Castile can take this map, we will be sent to a map 5. And that 5th map, I'm going to have to check to see exactly what it is. It looks like it is going to be Busan.
Oh, Busan. I personally hate Busan, but that's just me. Some people like it.
A lot of people do not like Busan. And we've got a member of Eclipse that is going to use the bathroom. Come on, man. It's game
Yeah, I could at
time.
least do it before the game.
I don't know. But I have a question for you. What do you think Castile has to do in order to take this map?
Ooh, that's an important one. Castillo definitely has to run because they can definitely win the hit scan. I mean, like the DPS overall, they can win that duel because that's really, really important. Because if you're able to consistently take out the other DPS by yourself, then you're just shutting players out instantly. And so they can either do that or incorporate their whole team into a dive sort of situation. We see Gubbins plays at Hammond like a 6-year-old, but that's better than not playing it at all. Um, we see that Swooper is being put into the game. This is their original lineup, as was in Volskaya. I think they might have it right now. Pretty sure they're going to have Watchpoint. That's just my prediction, though.
I'm honestly gonna have to go against you on that prediction, though. I feel like Eclipse definitely has an upper hand going into this because, from what we've seen, we've seen Momo just being able to carry with that Widow, getting very early picks and very important picks right at the beginning of the fights, as well as seeing T-Nex in combat. They're an incredible duo, just right in the middle of the fight. Combat able to pump out so much healing with T-Nex then able to capitalize off the uh, how spread out Castillo normally gets. That um, it's going to be very hard, in my opinion, for Castillo to get in.
Yeah, no, some people decide that they want to be wrong and they want to choose Eclipse over Castillo. Now, I don't blame you. It's tempting, but I'm gonna stand firm in my prediction and go with Castillo right now. Castillo looks like their changes that they're making are good changes. They are putting back in their original lineup, and we're gonna see if that's gonna pay out. Is the person back from the bathroom yet?
About to find out.
Just started anyways.
There you go. There you go. Alright, get such a back. Castillo wanted to try and get Goku in, and he couldn't join for some reason. I thought you joined.
Perfect. Wait, what?
He said got it and then couldn't join, and then I thought that meant he joined, but it doesn't look like he did. So I'll reopen it.
Goku's been in.
Oh, there he is. I was so confused.
Yeah.
Alright. So much confusion. So little time. Well, let's see, though, if Castillo is going to be able to get through this and force this into a map 5.
Alright, as Watchpoint starting up, what do you think is gonna be running now? What kind of comps?
I feel like that the Widowmaker is probably going to be pulled out again by Eclipse. This can be a very Widow-heavy map because you have so many high ground areas. But I also feel like that we have the possibility of maybe even seeing a Sombra get pulled out. Because there are a lot of small areas that Sombra is able to get into, and with her abilities to stay invisible, she's basically the ultimate flanker.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think even though Sombra hasn't really been a staple of this series so far, I think there is a possibility for a Sombra to be put out. I think it's not gonna happen. What we will see though is that there is going to be a Winston Reinhardt and maybe two never mind, a Hammond Zarya of all Reinhardt Zarya on the side of Eclipse. Meanwhile, on the side of Castillo, we are going to be seeing whatever that is. I'm not really sure, to be honest. All right, never mind. We're gonna be, yeah, Ryan Hammond. What do you think these comps have in store for each other?
I know that Hammond is going to be able to provide a little bit of disruption on the side of Castillo, allowing the Ashe and the Widow to really capitalize off the fact that a lot of those members are going to be forced into the air. But when it comes to Eclipse's approach, they have a lot of shield capability coming into this with the Reinhardt and the Zarya, that it's going to be a battle of the widows, really.
Yeah. We're gonna see Widow trying to duel a Widow and an Ashe, failing, but at least he tried. However, we're gonna be seeing a wipe on the side of Castillo. Castillo being a more dominant team this time, despite their last two maps losing. Might be due to a different lineup, but what do you know? However, we are going to be seeing a swap onto a Genji Tracer focus comp instead of the Widow being put out. That might be in response to the snipers, but might not be. We're going to be seeing a full transition on Dive. Reinhardt not being any better right now. We are going to see then nothing too much is happening. We're going to be seeing some picks on the side of Castillo. We are going to be looking at how Eclipse is going to be able to react. Honestly,
the dive was probably the best situation that Eclipse could have swapped to, but what's going to happen is they need to determine the precise targets that they need to take out in order for the dive to be successful. And right now, the major targets is going to be the Widow and the Ashe, because they're able to pump in a lot of damage from a huge distance away, that it's going to stop the very forward damage that Genji and Tracer have to do.
Yeah, where we see Ashe trying to duel the Tracer, Widow being joined in as long as the Mercy. Pulse Bomb coming out from Tracer, not taking anything. However, Bob does get unleashed, and that's going to be a short stop to anything Eclipse tried to have running. Very important to a fight that might ensue.
And that Bob was also put in a very good spot too, right in front of the payload. So now you not only, even if Castillo lost that fight, you still had something there to contest the payload for just long enough for somebody to get back and start the fight over again.
Right now we are looking at a triple tank from Eclipse, triple dive tank, may I add, and a Valk being able to sustain them all. The cart being neglected for a light bit, but that's not important. What is important is combat being taken out by Griffin. The Coalescence then almost picking up Lucio. Lucio barely escaping. Anyways, Swooper is still doing work on Widow. That dive is not really halting anything that they might have running. We are gonna see the rest of the wipe onto Eclipse. Eclipse has one more push. What do they need in order to win?
Well, right now Eclipse is really going to have to start focusing down people. They have to put resources into confirming kills, because one of the major things that they're falling back on is they're not completing the kills, and that's just allowing Castillo to get the healing done and then make comebacks coming from spawn.
Speaking from a comeback, Momo is going to get a double headshot, triple, including that Moira. Genji getting a blade with the Mercy in it. And right now, the Eclipse has won this fight. Now they just need to kill the Hammond that's on their point, and they can successfully move the cart. But that's not happening right now. We are going to be seeing a nearly full regroup with the amount of players that they have right now. And they stalled this. Hammond stalled this fight from being an easy win on the side of Eclipse to something that's going to be a lot harder to pull out. Gubbins is taken down finally. There's not going to be too much of a stall now, but there's still a fight ensuing. We're going to see Widow take on Widow as Swooper is able to take down Sam. We're going to be seeing NY taking down the Ashe, and Rez coming out onto the Hammond, being a bit of a disruptive force. Right now, Momo does take out Swooper, being a very important staple into this team's DPS. Where now it's just the tanks and a healer being on to the point. You just have to start getting rid of the other team right now, because you can't drag this fight on longer, or you guys won't have the firepower. Momo being taken out by the Ashe, and right now it is almost a done deal. Genji getting a blade. Blading, almost getting a blade onto the Ashe. However, Ashe just get res. Genji goes down, and it's a very hard fight for Eclipse to win now. Eclipse losing that fight, not even getting the point. Why do you think that fight dragged out for so long? And what could they have changed?
In my opinion, the fight dragged out so long mainly because of that Hammond. Hammond, when he starts going, is so hard to stop the momentum of that spin. And it is so hard to target him when he's spinning around like that, that he was able to create so much time for Castillo to be able to finally get back and to keep that fight going. And then with Castillo hanging on to that Earth Shatter for so long, they had an answer to stop a lot of what Eclipse had coming at them.
Yeah, very important. Very important stall coming on the side of Castillo. And now we're gonna see if Eclipse is going to be able to bounce back from that. What do you think that Eclipse can run in terms of players to counter this?
In order to really counter this, I want to say that their best bet might even be using a Symmetra. Just a little bit, because with her ability to use those teleporters and those turrets, she can get those turrets in a very interesting places. And with the ability of those turrets to slow down people, it's going to give, especially Momo, the chances to get those massive headshots that they're going to need in order to really make a comeback in this.
Yeah, we are going to be looking at... We're going to be looking at some weird comps. Sombra being put out on the side of Castillo. Triple DPS on the side of Castillo, matter in fact. However, there's going to be a bit of a Torp comp being run on the side of Eclipse. Sam being taken out early into the fight, being rezzed, but can he be stopped from getting an R pick? Castillo being picked. Their Sombra goes down by Momo. Very important character on this team. Hammond being a massive disruptive force, as they were doing earlier. We're going to be diving now under the top area, where Eclipse is firmly set right now. But a few Widow shots can change that. We're going to be seeing that Widow v Widow duel that we all love, enjoy to see. There's a Torque turret on the side taking out, putting out some damage, poke damage that is going to add up to something. Widow being taken out from this poke damage when later res. However, Swooper goes down. That's going to be massive, as the DPS is going to be limited. Hammond mines come out, but Hammond doesn't really come out of the mine. The mine's alive. NY getting a massive pick with this turret again. Momo getting rezzed, and this is a solid fight for Eclipse. They can't. Castillo's not going to be able to push easily.
And this is really what Eclipse had to do. Was really they needed a lot of zone cancelization, and that's what the Torbjorn especially specializes in, with his ultimate being a massive just lay down of lava. It's very hard for anyone really to get onto a point.
However, Bomb's going to come out, taking out two. Tina getting that massive bomb. That's going to almost halt the push again. However, there is some room that Castillo can start to make. But you never really know. Tina taking out Gubbins again. I think Gubbins is just trying to take the world record for the most deaths in a game. But I wouldn't know. Anyways, we see a soldier starting to attack Momo. Momo's taking some damage. We see Hammond disrupting a lot of what Eclipse has going. It's not really working too well. Orisa feels the need to put out the supercharger, and right now the fight's already won. Whether they need that supercharger or not doesn't matter at all. What
I
does
feel
matter
like
is
that
the
the
next fight.
supercharger though was used mainly as a deterrent to try and force Castillo back even more than what they were
Hmm.
already, because really it's just Eclipse trying to run the clock at this point.
Yeah, and if you can run down the time in the one last fight, Castillo's gonna be forced just to put everything on the line. We're gonna see a Molncore run all the way up, and different picks are being traded. Tac Visor comes out, and a Coalescence also comes out. However, NY and Momo are getting picks until Hanzo does get both the Widow and the Mercy. We're gonna need to see a bit of a turnaround over on the side of Eclipse. Not gonna happen right now. Sweeper gets rezzed. However, Raftaliator goes down. Hammer Mines come out, and looks like Castillo might come out on top this time. Diva is trying to survive as long as possible, but you can't really contest with the Hammond swinging around. What you can do is res the Diva. Diva getting res, and Mech kills Griffin. Massive pick. Now it's a real fight. We're gonna start to see Hammond start to jump onto point again. Both healers are available. We're gonna need to see some clear-cut focusing before anything happens. Diva Bomb is a definitely good start. Does not kill the Hammond, probably the most important target at this time. Griffin comes back. He tries to do something. I don't personally think it's gonna work. We're gonna see a Molncore come out. Now Hammond Mines are out. Hammond's gone, and looks like it is going to be a set in stone victory on the side of Eclipse. How do you think Eclipse was able to hold that so well?
What really helped Eclipse hold that was getting that res onto that Diva. Getting Diva's mech back was the biggest thing, because now you've got basically two characters there to hold the point for your team to get back to the point. And what that allowed them to do as well is it gave the Torbjorn a chance to set up his turret, because you only had two people on Castillo fighting on that point. So nobody really to counter the Torbjorn, as both of them were focused on the Diva and getting her out of mech. So the Torbjorn was able to get that turret up, and with that turret just locking onto somebody, Torbjorn was able to start farming up his ult, which allowed Eclipse to stop the Hammond's movement on that point. And without Hammond rushing around the point, Castillo didn't have the time to get back.
Yeah, you're right there. And that's game over. I was wrong, I guess. I'll address that first. I guess I was wrong. Eclipse is able to finish it out. But who do you think, are we doing MVPs or?
I always like to do MVPs.
Yeah, let's do it. Who do you think was on the better end or the most important end of each team?
When it comes to Eclipse, I want to say the most important, if we're going to do two, has to be Combat and Momo. And Combat was putting out so much healing that Castillo really didn't have much of an answer to it, and Momo was there just to make the major picks that had to be done when those fights started. When it comes to
Well, yeah. Yeah, okay, you keep going. You keep going.
when it comes to
I thought you finished.
Castillo, I want to say who were the supports? Why can't I think of who the supports were?
Usually it was is Griffin and someone else. Griffin and
But
Raftalia.
anyway, I want to say the Cupcake though on her Reinhardt was a very important factor for Castillo, because that Reinhardt was able to make so much room for the DPS to be able to start going off, but then also was there to protect the supports when they needed to be protected. That it was very hard for Eclipse really to make any clear-cut pushes.
Yeah. No, personally I liked what I liked a lot is the amount of shatters that A7 got. And I will push that out there. A7 was very good for his team, very beneficial. Another person I liked was Faz, because Faz was a was a competent DPS, competent tank role. I don't know if she played support or not, but what I will say is that very solid all around. And on a team, you need players who might not be playmakers per se, but are very solid, very capable all around. Because you have that, and you have consistency on a team, and now you have a team that's just not losing at all. On the side of Castillo, I would like to point out Caro and Swooper, two very good DPS. And usually I'm not this type of person to go for like a DPS MVP, but when there's someone who continually is a problem for another team, then it has to be addressed. And that's why I'm addressing them too.
All right. So who would you say we award our two MVPs to?
Was it like one per team or what's going on here?
One per team.
Oh man. On Eclipse, honestly, I would say Momo. And Castillo, I would say Cupcake.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
All right, well, congratulations to our two MVPs awarded by yours truly and his truly. Um, Honestly, very, very clear and consistent all around. To Momo carrying his team to victory on Blizzard World, got two quads in a row, and that is very hard to ask for. Like getting a quad to save your team once and then having it happen again, very important in the game, very consistent throughout, and not only consistent as I mentioned earlier, but massive, massive clutch ability. Being able to consistently win the Widow 1v1s, being able to get massive picks from above, and they were really, they were honestly solid. They were good. Do you have anything to say about Cupcake?
I gotta say, Cupcakes, her charges, a lot of those were making major picks that had to be done, but mainly her defensive ability was one of the biggest things for Castillo, was the fact that she was able to just to be there to help the supports when they really needed the help, and to also be able to just aggress when Castillo was really pushing forward. The Rhine plays were incredibly well done from Cupcake.
Yeah, having a Ryan who can both play aggressive and defensive is basically a team's dream. Cupcake able to fulfill that from Castillo, but hopefully they can bring it further than they can come back from this loss and they can rebound.
Yeah. But with that, I'd say it's safe to say that we can end this game. So, this has been the Alligator, and I want to thank you, Tosk, for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And I hope to see you all in the next game. We're going into week 4, which will be using map set 3, some entirely new maps. And I've looked at the map set. We've got King's Row into that set, and it's gonna be a fun week, I'm expecting.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
All right.
this is the Alligatron, and this has been the OLOC, signing off.